Hello.
Hello, how are you doing?
Good. How are you, Stephanie? Welcome.
Thank you. Doing well, doing well. Staying
Great.
nice and dry.
Yeah, great. Who else is coming in? We've got a lot of Denise's
I see
here.
we're doing it.
Nancy is here. Miriam's here.
Hi, everybody.
Miriam got the pink shirt message.
There's Cynthia. I can see people to admit, so I can keep admitting them.
Oh, thank you. That's great.
Yeah.
Oh, I love seeing everybody. I wonder who the empty chair is. That's always fun to see who fills in the empty chair.
God.
Let's put that one in the middle. Oh, that's awesome. Great. Well, Krista's coming in.
Yeah, I just did.
Good turnout.
Did I unadmit her? There, I admitted her. It is. It's great for a Friday.
Yeah, that's great. Well, it's 11 o'clock, so I think I'll kick us off and just say thank you so much for everybody's patience and flexibility and flowing with the storm and the unfolding and the new date and making it here. I'm just really grateful for everybody's flexibility and understanding. I know it's been a lot of emails, so I promise I will keep those at bay for a little while we get, more grounded in our new date. But welcome to our 11 o'clock on the East Coast call, 10 o'clock Central. I'm not going to do the rest of the math.
It's 8 o'clock in California. I do know that.
There we go. So I'm Amelia. I've been your coordinator. If you don't know me, it's really nice to see you. And I've got Cyndi here, Cyndi Dale, who you know about, obviously, because you want to share some time with her. And she's been so gracious since we weren't doing anything today. She said, well, I'm not busy. Let's do a little class. And I said, that sounds wonderful. So it's great to have everybody get together. This is being recorded. I want to let you know if you hover over your little picture in the screen, you'll get like a little dot, and there's a way to raise your hand if you've got a question so we can call on each other. Maybe sometimes there's a little hand that says raise hand. And so that's how you can ask a question. We intend our time to be interactive so that you can, really embrace this material and make it your own. So without further talking from me, Cyndi, welcome.
Thank you, Amelia. Hi, everybody. We're supposed to be in the same actual space together. This was as close as we could get. So I'm so sorry we had to reschedule. I don't think hurricanes are anything to be messed with. And some of you were going to be driving up from Atlanta, which would have been a particularly dangerous drive. So I'm so glad we could find another date. And it seems like most people, I just keep admitting people here. That's why I look off to the side. And it seems like most of you, I think almost everybody was able to move to January. And I found the airlines really helpful. They just said, whenever, whatever, we'll just make it work. So we just have a very long prequel, to getting together in January. But Amelia assures me there's no hurricanes in January. And I'm used to snow, so I don't care if it snows down there. It makes no difference to me. I can do snow. I have mucklucks. I have absolutely everything, that could be needed, if you snow. So away we go with that. So we thought it'd be really fun to get us together for an hour and a half and just experience a little bit about what not really what we're going to talk about when we get together. It's more like an ad hoc class altogether, but we can get a sense of each other and meet each other as well. But I have to tell you the secret to these Raleigh classes. I call them Raleigh, even though I know they're Hillsborough, Durham, etc. But Raleigh's where I fly into. Amelia always gives me a hard time for that. So it's Amelia channels the topics of the classes that I teach through her. So I have yet to actually select a topic for when I come down to North Carolina. She channels them. She sits down, she connects with spirit, and she goes, what is Cyndi going to do? And so sometimes I'm like really pleasantly surprised, because like this one, like it took me like 3 weeks, but after she posted it, for me to actually look it up and go, oh, that's what I'm doing. This is really fun. I wish I could go. So when we get together, we're basically going to be bringing through or channeling, higher entities and, beings that we've known about in different cultures, beings who have very specific teachings and who represent different spiritual qualities that are available to all of us. So I think what we're going to talk about today is really in keeping with what is going to happen when we're all together, during which time I will bring forward information. I'll share basic themes. We'll do some healing work with those various spiritual qualities represented by these different kinds of forces or forms, the Buddhic form, the Jesus form, the Kali, and maybe Kuan Yin, etc., different forms. So today I think is really a good precursor to that, because we're going to talk about your divine self. Sometimes in my books, I've called that your God self. But I think it's really more apropos to call it the divine self, because it's evocative not of a certain religion or iconographic description of divinity. It's the all. It's yourself that is unique and is your own spark and is your own essence and could occupy your own universe, because you're so special and singular, and yet you're knowingly connected to that greater creator, as well as, to the divine within everybody. So I'm going to talk about the distinctions or some of the differences between some of the words that are thrown around, kind of in the new age or spiritual circles. What's the divine self versus the higher self versus the middle and the lower and all these different kind of selves. I'll talk about it in context of some of the different cultures and their arrangements or their configurations. And then we really want to interact with our divine self. And frankly, we want to put it in charge. We want to put it in charge of our lives and our manifesting and who we are and what we're doing, because it's just so much smarter. Well, I can say it this way. My divine self is so much smarter than my everyday self. There's absolutely no comparison. It's sort of like a mountain compared to an ant. So I'd much rather have my non-personality self making the bigger decisions and bringing me what I need or what I need to know. And that's, I think, where we want to go. And we want to feed and nurture that self. So a couple definitions of terms. We hear a lot words like spirit, soul, higher self, divine self. I'm going to really talk about divine self versus higher self more than any other topic area, because higher self is best defined in terms of the cultures that describe us as having a higher, middle, and lower self. All right. And for instance, I studied with Serge King in Kauai several years ago, and he talked about these distinctions. It's a very huna or kahuna idea, but a lot of other cultures ascribe the same terminology and think about us as having a low self. I hate the word low, so I don't really use it because it's so demeaning. But like, this is my lower self. My everyday physical self is considered my low self. That's my body self, my personality. In the Sufi system, that's the part of me that has, I love this term, that has nafs, N-A-F-S, which is, kind of personality components. And so, this is my vehicle that I'm going through the world in, that I'm, kind of getting experience and making decisions with, and can get way too dense or programmed with other people's issues as well as my own misunderstandings about love, to be honest. Your middle self is seen as the part of you that it's sort of like your consciousness. It regulates you and your higher self. It's the part of you that can help you get out of your own way and help you work through some of your subconscious, unconscious programs. Your middle self is the part of you that can listen to other people or guides, or get a sense of something beyond your own experiences. So, I know I've had experience where I'm tooling along and I'm acting the way that I always act, like I'm getting mad at my sisters, or like I'm, reacting to my mother who's deceased, and I don't react to her anymore because we both changed since she died. But, being reactive with family, and the middle self can come in and go, wait a minute, like there's a bigger picture here. So the middle self can expand the horizons so you can get into a few more ideas and principles and choices. The higher self in the kahuna or huna perspective is really seen as dissociated from your lower self. I don't believe that, but the higher self is considered the part of you, that can talk to the highest guides and the highest parts of other people. I call that the spirit self versus the soul that carries the issues. And so your higher self is, in this particular system, is considered able to connect to principles, to guides, to wisdom, and to the oneness. So that higher self is able to help your lower self make decisions and work with the middle self to get perspectives, etc. But you know what? We have another self that, again, in my writings, I've usually called the God self or the divine self, that is pure spirit, that is just your pure spirit self. It's sort of a accumulation of past, present, future. You can, in your divine self, you are in every time period simultaneously. You've got the perspective of what's ever been, of what is now, even in concurrent or parallel realities, of what could or should or will happen in the future. So it's your all-knowing self. Sometimes that self is called the dream self in certain cultures, but they don't really describe it quite accurately. Again, in the Huna system, the dream self is kind of considered this separate part of you that dreams everything into being. It's not in the body, it's just dreaming your world. It's connecting to your lower self, your middle self, your higher self, and it's wishing things into your reality. In the Aboriginal system, like in Australia, that dream self is considered active before you're born, and it helps establish your plans and your processes and your paths and what clan you're going to be a part of. I believe that your divine self, though, is your dream self and is ultimately able, if given permission to be in leadership and be in effect, it can manage, it can govern, it can love up, it can do healing work for your lower, middle, and higher selves. It can unify all those, and it can help you be in the body, in the present, and be coming from the perspective of divinity at the same time. There's very specific energy bodies that the divine self works the best with. There's very specific types of streams of energy that it works with really well, and I'll talk about those because we're going to want to activate them. One is the 9th chakra. It's above the head, and it contains the codes of who you really are. When those codes are loaded into your physical body, it can transform your physical body into what it's supposed to be. The divine self is also able to be governing of what I call your miracle body. Don't you love the name of that? You have to get that going. It really works. No, it really, really makes a difference if your divine self is activated and flowing through your miracle body. And the divine self also works with the virtues. These are huge energies that are available from living sources, from animate sources that can channel through you health, happiness, joy, healing, faith, clarity, truth, and make them real. Not make them head stuff like, oh, I think I'm going to tell the truth, but I don't know what it is, so I'm not going to talk. It's like you want to bring through the divine self the virtues, so you're in truth. So you're holding truth. So you're emblazoned with it. So you're sharing it and showing it. And I'll give you like a really fun example, like of how that divine self works. If you guys know me, you know that I'm on the phone all the time, constantly, with my 20-year-old who's a baseball pitcher. I'm sorry, but he gives me really great examples. Because if you can help a 20-year-old with these concepts and they can become real and they can actually show up on the pitching mound, then these are very real opportunities to use. So about 2-3 days ago, he was getting ready to have a really important bullpen, which is just where they pitch in front of the coaches, but he was nervous and this and that and the other thing. And I said, Gabe, why don't we just bring your divine self through? And he goes, is that like the smart part of me? He's 20. Okay. I said, yeah, that's your smart part. That's the part that really can just let you show who you really are. And he goes, yeah, that sounds great. And so, I mean, he's on, you know, I don't know where I am. I'm probably in bed because he always texts and calls at like 11 or 1 or, you know, this or that or the other thing. He doesn't care. I'm his mother. So he can just get a hold of me whenever he can get a hold of me. So he said, okay, so you're just going to have to help me with this because I'm in the car, like, and I'm super busy. So I only have like 2 minutes. So I said, all right, we're just going to activate your divine self in the center of your heart. And he goes, wow, that feels cool. And that's his descriptive term, is cool. I said, and then he goes, yeah, and I feel really hot. I feel really warm. And I said, let's have it bring through you the energy of truth. So you get to show these coaches what you really look like. What's your truth as a baseball pitcher? He goes, that's great. He goes, wow, I can feel my legs. I can feel my hips. That's a virtue. And then I said to him, why don't we also let it activate your miracle body? Because the miracle body works 2 ways. It helps you, it helps the energies inside of you that are really your divine energies go into the world and touch the world so they perceive who you really are, and change the world. So it actually alters, if it needs to, it can alter events around you so the world shapes to who you really are. The miracle body also brings energies from the world into you so you can step it up and be internally who you really are. So you know how to be, you know how to act, you know how to do this and that and the other thing. And then I said, last thing we're going to do, and he's probably not even really listening to me. So if you can do this on a Gabe, you can do this on anybody. I said, so let's just for your physical body, because everything about baseball is physical. I said, let's just let your divine self bring energies down into your body, into your subtle, like your chakras, and into your physical body. So your body's really ready to go. So your physical body's in prime shape, which was a big deal because he had a really bad cold. I mean, he sounded horrible. And that can impact your balance and everything. He goes, yeah, that sounds really great. So he said, oh, I can really feel that coming in. He goes, Mom, I feel really good. I feel really strong. So he pitched Wednesday. And he always like sneaks away after he pitches and texts me and then calls me later. And he texted me, goes, Mom, I was awesome. And he goes, I've never been better. And when we talked, he said, the head coach looked at me. It makes me feel like crying, to be really honest. He goes, the head coach watched me and he said, Gabe, like, because they pitched last week too. He goes, you could contribute to a team all the way up, like I mean into the majors, which they've never said to him. And Gabe said, really? He goes, yeah, you could, and I can help you get there. And he goes, what was the difference between what you did this week and last week? Last week he was good, but he wasn't like this good. And Gabe, because he's channeling the virtue of truth, tells the truth. He goes, you know, my mom worked on me and I think it really helped. I can't believe he said that. And he said, and you know, last time I was pushing too hard because I really wanted to impress you guys. So I was just pushing too hard. And then Gabe goes, do you think it's okay I told him the truth, Mom? I go, yeah, what does it hurt? You know? So there you go. You told the truth. So that's how simple it is to interact or have your divine self interact with you, especially if you have any knowing of these 3 different types of energy system bodies, you know, which again are the 9th chakra, which is above your head, and it holds your templates. Your miracle body, which is really all the way around you, it's technically inside of what I call the 10th auric field. So your first auric field is in and around your skin. Your 10th auric field is right outside of that, so it's within there. And then using the virtues, which are always available to you, you don't even have to know which ones you need, but your divine self is able to bring those through. So think about how powerful if you enable your divine self to activate any of those as you need to as well. So what I want to do is I'm going to describe each of these sort of units and how we activate them, do sort of a very, very short guided meditation amongst all of us. And I'd love to bring a couple people up to give as demonstrations also, so you can share. I just keep admitting people. That's the only reason I'm looking this way. So you can kind of share with the group how this is feeling also. But as Amelia already said, ask questions anytime you want. You can raise your hand, and you can also get on chat if you want to. I don't know how it is for you guys to get on chat. I can go to the bar underneath the picture, like I'm looking at Amelia. I can go underneath the picture, and there's a whole bar where it says chat, and I just press chat, and then over on the right side there's a chat. So you can ask questions on chat, and I can answer questions as we go too. And so I like working that way. So before we more fully activate the divine self, I want to do that in concert with the 9th chakra self. So let me describe that a little more. So your 9th chakra, in my world, you can call it whatever you want. In different cultures, it's called the luminary body or the God body, or it's seen as gold in nearly every culture that does talk about it. It's about an arm's length over your head, and it's beautiful. It looks like gold sunlight. It contains the codes of your divine self. So if you're very visual, you could see those codes as numbers or colors, or hear them as tones, or just about any geometric shapes or any kind of formula. But what those are able to do, I call them spiritual genetics, is they can come in and shape change you so you are the way that you're supposed to be. It doesn't mean you're never going to get a cold again. Like if you have like a wonky elbow, you may still have a wonky elbow because it's just supposed to be wonky, whatever it is, but it does alter or transform fairly miraculously. And I want to give you a story of that I love. So I don't think you've heard this story because it's not very old, but I'll probably be repeating it for decades. So excuse me if you have heard it. In my apprenticeship program, there's a gentleman who has been taking the class, and he's very telepathic, but we were teaching some of these types of concepts. And maybe about 2-3 months ago, he wrote in and he asked me if he could come in front of the class and give a victory story, like share how the concepts have worked. And he had written, like, I didn't really believe any of this stuff worked. Like, I teach about healing streams of grace, which we'll cover in our class, and this 9th chakra. And he was sort of sitting back to his own admission going, well, this is sort of airy. It sounds really new age, right? And he's, a very reputable businessman. And so think about it from the perspective of a business person. But he had a success story. His next door neighbor had a dog who had to be put down. This dog had apparently bitten 13 people. I don't know how far it went that it could bite 13 people. Was a rescue dog, really aggressive, really challenging dog. And the neighbor was telling the student this, and he said, before you put the dog down, will you just let me work on the dog? Like, I'll work on the dog for a week with these concepts. And she goes, sure. So 3 times a day, he worked on the dog, morning, noon, and evening. And mainly in the first 2 parts of the day, he just sent streams of grace, or energies that are always available for healing, to the dog. The 3rd time that he worked, he sent these streams of grace to the dog, but he also sent them through the 9th chakra template. So he was having pulled into the dog what the dog was supposed to be able to be like. And the neighbor, after a day or 2, called him and said, what are you doing at night? Because wherever my dog is, the dog just falls over into a coma. And he goes, well, I'm bringing this 9th chakra, blah, 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 into the dog, which doesn't make any sense to an outsider. But he was doing this 9th chakra, bringing it into the dog. And the dog would just doesn't matter if it was eating, if it was running, it would just go into a coma state until he was done working with the dog. At the end of the week, the dog was a completely different dog. very happy, hale. My sense was it was physically better, but in terms of temperament, it was the most loving dog you could meet. It would go up to people it had bitten and just lick them, roll over, say, pet me. I'm sort of embellishing, but get the idea of this dog actually being what the dog would have been if it hadn't been abused. So that's what the ninth chakra affords us, is the ability to bring into us what's physically, psychologically, and spiritually true, as if we hadn't gone through what perhaps wasn't really decreed by the divine mystery as something necessary to our upbringing, our growth, or our ability to really shine and be who we are. So that's why we want the divine self to bring in and down through us, our ninth chakra self. So before we concentrate on the ninth chakra, I'm going to spend 2 minutes and have all of us very, very simplistically, you can do this for other people. This is not complicated. I'm just going to have each of you just concentrate like in your heart area, and I'll do a 1-2 minute guided meditation for you to feel your divine self, not just your high, middle, and low self, activating within your heart. And then I'm going to see if I can get a volunteer up, and I'll help that person activate their ninth chakra, and then help all of us do that in and through the divine self. All right. So I'm going to use techniques some of you already know, but we'll cover during our weekend too. And just breathe. I always talk too fast, but I hope you can listen fast too. I'll slow down for this part. And just let yourself affirm your own spirit, the you who is who you really are, the you you've always been, you'll always be, the you that is becoming, the you that is self, and honestly, what you're affirming is your divine self. In that acknowledgement, that recognition, that affirmation, you're also giving permission to receive from all other divine selves, from all those spirits, the essences of truth and love that are here today gathered on this call. And you're also acknowledging those that are invisible and present to give assistance. And then finally acknowledge or affirm and feel your oneness with that greater divinity, the all, the great truth, the beloved, the divine, the great spirit, the creator. And it's here within your heart. You can sense and know the reality of being divine, of even within your humanness, of constantly and continually being the divine who you are. It's so easy, isn't it? To know yourself this way, to acknowledge yourself as this truth, as love, as light, as sound, always of the highest calibers and qualities and realities. And so allow that divinity to just simply be shared throughout the remainder of you. Inside of each energy body, whether it's a chakra, a meridian, a nadi, an auric field, is space for your divine essence. And so before you can even count to 1, your divine self is sharing your divinity within the center of every aspect of your subtle being and anatomy, and simultaneously within the center of every aspect of your physical being and anatomy. Completely coordinating all aspects of you, all parts of you, so there's no division. All is the divine who you are. And then just breathe and enjoy this recognition. Enjoy this truth, this fact, this reality. Enjoy yourself as divine. Divine doesn't mean perfect. Every imperfection, however, is its own perfection. The divine self doesn't always need to be flawless because it's constantly learning. It doesn't need to say, oh, there are mistakes, because those are just steps on the path of becoming. As you accept your divinity, know that the divine, the supreme divine, and the divinity of all is completely accepting you. And in that, you're able to be completely loving to yourself and in receivership of unconditional love from all others. Breathe deep. Be true, be present. And open your eyes when you're ready. And stretch if you need to as well. Don't you feel lovely? There's sort of like a loose, shiny feeling, I think, to each of you right now. I would love to have somebody come up, and I'm going to guide that person through the acknowledgement of their 9th chakra self. We're just going to use what I call streams of grace, ever available streams of love from the source, to just bring those templates down into you through your divine self, because I want somebody to be able to share a little bit of what that's like for them, and then I'll do that same practice for the whole group. So Amelia will choose somebody. You're going to need to raise your hand or wave. Sometimes people just wave when they're on a picture, or chat. And Amelia, I'll just have you bring somebody up.
Hi, Cyndi.
Hi, Shannon's up. How are you, Shannon?
I'm okay. I just got a massage, so.
Oh my gosh, you're perfectly ready for this, aren't you?
Yes.
I don't hear little ones in the background either.
No, they're at school. I needed a me day. I just took a me day.
Good. Well,
Yeah.
This is a perfect me experience for you to have too. All right. So I know that Shannon knows what streams of grace are in a really quick nutshell. Streams of grace, I define grace as love in motion. So it's love that makes a difference. It's love that actually produces an effect. And if there isn't to be an effect, it just leaves things the way that they are, but always brings about the highest and the most divine change. So when we bring in or ask for streams of grace, we're asking for that greater divine to bring to somebody or to ourselves exactly what love is needed to produce, the highest effect possible. So, Shannon, we're going to very simplistically just allow streams of grace to come down and through your 9th chakra. I'll lead you through that. So those templates, those spiritual genetics through your divine self can really go wherever they need to within your body, mind, and soul. So as you're already doing, Shannon, you can just breathe deeply and just be, because this requires no effort on your behalf. This is a gifting being brought by the divine because you are divine. So acknowledging your own divinity and the divine self that you are, know that even as I'm speaking, the divine is bringing down from above through that 9th chakra, the top of it, down over your head, into your 7th chakra on the top of your head, and down all the way through your subtle and physical body or bodies. The templates, the codes, the keys that enable the full activation of your divine self within and around you. Just feel it. Again, there's nothing you need to do. And if any of you are experiencing this, just simply allow it to happen. Because we're using streams of grace, everything's brought in and through in absolutely perfect timing and sequencing and order. So if the tip of your fingers to receive a new code that gets activated in a week, it gets activated in a week. Everything's done with gentleness and perfection for who you are as a singular being. I get a sense it's now coming in and through your legs, Shannon. So there's a real flow for you now. And this helps make you as your divine self very actual, manifested, physical. It really enables the divine self to take over even the genetics or the cellular structures or the molecular interactions, etc.
Can really feel it in my face.
I really feel it in your face too. I feel it in your whole head. Like it's sort of like tingling. It's not burning, but it's just like huge tingling.
Well, like I feel like my nervous system is like just all around my nose and mouth and eyes.
And that's key because that's the head brain, which of course has pineal, pituitary, it's the mastery of the limbic system, hippocampus, your memory. I mean, it's changing perspective and even plasticity, if you would. You know, plasticity is how well our brain is able to learn new things. So my sense is that this ninth chakra shift is enabling your brain to be plastic again. Like they say that you are like have this sort of malleableness to learn when you're really little, when you're like 10 to 12, and it sort of fades. Well, it's not faded. It's being activated. So your spiritual self is getting programmed in.
I like feel my hands really hot too. Like my 11th chakra is lighting up.
You'll feel that in your feet in a minute too. The 11th chakra is really outside of us, but it connects to our connective tissue and muscles. It's also around the hands and the feet. And it's the chakra through which we command natural and supernatural forces. So that's probably being activated for Shannon because that's a high gift for you, Shannon. And so your mastery level of being able to command is getting like amplified like nobody's business right now.
I feel it washing over my legs right now, like really intensely.
Yeah, I could feel it. I feel things a little bit before somebody else does. That's fantastic. So that over your legs, it's going to start reprogramming genes and epigenetics, which is family memories and events, and also your auric field. It's also going to work in the field around you, in that it's going around you also. Isn't it interesting how it's coming into wherever it's going to? You can't direct it with your head, nor do you need to.
It's like being bathed, like a wave just crashing.
Mm-hmm. Like in many of my classes, we've worked with ninth chakra before. You take it umpteenth level up exponentially when you work with the divine self with it. And you're automating the being of who you really are through that ninth chakra. Can you feel a little bit more in your heart or chest or throat or something in the chest is starting to?
Yeah, it's like encroaching right now. It's like not in the center. It's like all around.
Yeah.
It's like digging. It's like excavating.
Right. Well, we all have a lot to excavate, don't we? Uh-huh. Yeah, it's fairly ruthless and relentless, but it doesn't hurt. That's the best part. It leads to joy. I'm hearing to say also, this leads to joy in your own way of being joyous.
Yeah, I haven't had a lot of joy lately.
You need it. You get to have it. I mean, we can be sad and joyous at the same time. We can be anything and joyous at the same time. So this enables that kind of transformation. in a moment, I think it's going to sort of start landing a little bit. Your shoulders feel shaky to me, but it's sort of going to land hips and shoulders. I just think it's helping some scared parts of you, or it will be in a minute or two.
Yeah, I can feel a lot coming up.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm just asking for more healing streams of grace to just provide balance and soothing, almost like there's this sort of wavy, it's all okay, mother divine energy just cradling you, because this is a significant shift. So we also can ask for, containment and love and cradling also. Shannon's a mother, so for all of us who are mothers, when we enable something like this within ourselves, it very gently and in the right time gets passed to our kids too, our descendants. And for some of us, it can also go on the upswing and go into our lineage and offer an equivalent healing to any and all of our relatives too. It's always done according to what their divine self requires and needs and will allow too. So this isn't just like us, like in a bubble. This healing's not just in a bubble, like it shares. There's a sharing with it.
I just see screaming, like this spirit screaming. It's like a dark spirit just screaming.
It's not you. That's not you. That's an interference. And when you do this sort of process, whatever is not you that needs to be sent to heaven, let's just put it that way, will be lovingly removed from you. The space will be filled, and any interference, you don't even know if it's there, will be taken to where, it can be attended to. So it's mad about this because it's sort of been living off of you. You're going to feel a lot better. A lot of times too, if we have those kind of parasitic entities, it will also mean that somewhere in our body are actual parasites. So you clear the entities out, you clear up the body, you clear up what's in the body, you clear out what they're connected to. So this is what I mean by when you're working with ninth chakra, you get a physical change also. Physical, not only metaphysical.
I've been having a lot of pain in my right side and my right arm, and I can feel this grip just loosening.
Yeah. So that it's been it's been an entity, an energy that's had a hold of you. There's so often that really we need the divine self to help us heal, because it sees and knows everything, and it's just so hard to get all that data for ourselves too. I feel a little like crying, but it's happy crying for you. Like, woo, like, yay. Like I've wanted this help, that kind of crying.
Yeah. Yeah, it's this thing just I can feel it now in my chest. It's got this grip, and I'm just my divine self is coming through and just kind of being it's okay,
It's very soothing. It's sort of because from the perspective of the divine self, interference or invading beings or energies are just like little kids that are terrified, so they're holding on. So that's all they are. I mean, I remember so many times, not with my oldest, but my youngest, dropping him off at daycare, and him doing the leg clutch. That's sort of how we want to picture entities. They're like leg clutching or heart clutching. They're like, no, no. And usually with my youngest, I'd end up leaving with him too. So that's sometimes what we do is we go, okay, you don't have to go. We don't even know we're canceling out our sort of request that they leave. But the divine self can do this so much more purely because it says, oh, there's something much bigger and better than me for you to hold on to. Let me give you, to your beloved. Let me give you to your real parent. There's the feelings, Shannon. There's the relief and the sadness. Some of it is about what you've been through that you didn't even know that you've been going through so much for so
Yeah,
many
it
years.
came through. It came through a lot in my pregnancies, all the pain about that, and then it's like something attached to that pain.
Oh, so fed off of it. You're free. You're free now.
I feel a lot lighter. It's like still this sadness. It's like
Mhm.
just kind of like cleaning up.
Yeah.
It's like an it's like a cleaning up. It's just like all this void space.
Yeah. There's so many kinds of sadness. Some sadness is because we're still in the sorrow of an event. Sadness typically means that we've not been feeling loved or recognizing love. That's sort of the message of it. Then there's a sadness that's like, wow, I can't believe what I've been going through and I didn't even know it. And now I'm really being taken care of. Isn't that beautiful? So there's typically with this major of a shift, a lot of different kinds of sadnesses that can come up, but they're cleansing. They're always cleansing. Because it's sort of like if I were to run a marathon, it would be the tears I would feel when I was done. Like, oh my God, I finished. I never have to do that again. That's the ultimate sadness.
Yeah, I feel like it's starting to fill in now.
Yeah. Excellent, Shannon.
Yeah, I feel like a whole part of this like half of me was like missing.
Uh-huh. Almost taken over in a funny, not funny sort of a way.
It's like fun. Well, yeah, you're saying it's funny. It's weird because I've been going to this chiropractor and massage people because I've just been in so much pain.
Mm-hmm. I like working with the divine self because now when you go to the chiropractor, the adjustment will stick. It can make a difference. When the energy's not shifted, the good stuff we do just can sort of slide off, or even the food that we eat can sort of slide through, the nutrients can slide through. So this is a significant alteration. All right, how do you feel? It'll still keep moving with and for you. It'll just beautifully continue.
It feels so much better. It's like,
Congratulations.
yeah, it's like just this, you're like you're saying, it's just so much cleansing and relief.
Excellent. Thank you. And thanks for sharing with everybody. So we could support you and get a sense of how powerful this is as well.
Thank you, Cyndi.
Thank you. Now you need another massage. You would just melt into the table, I think. So let me spend a minute and have this enabled for all of us. You're probably already getting very much your own change, your own healing, your own process too. What's done for one is done for all, but I'm just going to help kind of bring it through all the way and finalize it. You guys are going to be really new people at the end of this very short call comparatively to your whole lives. So breathe deeply again. As you did before, acknowledge your divine self, which is you, your divinity, your totality in, through, and around yourself. And enable that greater divine along with this sort of happy dancing divine that you are to send healing streams of grace through the ninth chakra, down into the physical and subtle bodies, around the physical and subtle bodies, in and through all levels of your being, in that synchronicity, in that way of being streamlined and sequenced perfectly for you. And I'm just going to give you a minute to just feel and experience that flow and how that shows up within and around you in the way that's really particular and special for you. Allow yourself to experience whatever sensations accompany this shift. To also accept any feelings or emotions or even thoughts. And know that what has already started is also already complete, in that what's being read and responded to comes from your divine self, your divine heart. Know that you're going to keep on percolating. Ask the divine to just bring you more present and conscious in this time period. Take a couple deep breaths and open your eyes when you're ready. When we're done, you're probably all gonna want to go walk, unless you're in the eye. Well, if you're in the eye of the hurricane, you can walk. If you're in the hurricane, you can't. All right, breathe deeply. Hi, everybody. I would love to have somebody else come up so I can show you the experience of the miracle body. We're going to pack as much as we can into our hour and a half. So you just go forth and enjoy after this. So who wants to have me just very quickly help activate your miracle body? And Amelia, I'm going to have you pick somebody.
I saw Krista's hand first. I'm sorry, Miriam.
I saw it too.
Okay. So Krista's on the phone. Welcome, Krista.
Hi, Krista.
You.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. I just got my period today, so I'm like, world.
Well, this might be really good timing, because whatever we can clean up, right, and alleviate for you, like, all the better that you're going to feel too. That's always a good time, because we're releasing so much energy when we're menstruating that it actually works really well with that ninth chakra sort of kind of indoctrination, as well as the miracle body, because whatever's not yours or you're ready to let go of can just spin right out too. Mm-hmm. So how are you feeling just with the ninth chakra? Oh, you're there. Hi. Great.
Yeah.
How are you feeling with the ninth chakra shift just so far?
It feels good. There's a lot of like gold with like threads, like making a lot of like box geometric patterns that are kind of like spiraling down.
That makes sense to me, because like, you know about the ninth chakra too. It is very geometric and has a lot of symbols in it. And I typically do see like gold threads or luminary threads coming off of it, and then it sort of interconnects like a matrix, all the parts of us, so that change, happens on every level, everywhere, sort of simultaneously. So that's fantastic.
Oh,
so
good.
How about your miracle body? Should we work on that?
Yes, please.
Okay.
My body was just like, yes.
Yes. All right. So from a structural and constructive point of view, the 10th auric field is like our etheric body, and it's about here all the way around us. And it's a really rich energy center or energy field, because we can learn to look in there to see everything that's happened, is happening. There's also a mirror in here that shows us what's supposed to be. And we don't have to remember all this. I'm just trying to give you guys some visuals or understanding as a framework. And within that mirror in here is an energy body I call the miracle body that isn't often activated. And so think of it sort of like a silver. For me, it's like silvery. It could be other colors for other people. To me, it's sort of silvery, and it's shiny, and there's two sides to it. And there's like the inside of that thin silver body can take like our divine self and project it into the world. And then as that energy is projected, I always use streams of grace to go from the inside to the out. that projection, those healing streams, and our divine self goes into the world. And if it needs to change something in the world, it would. I mean, I suppose it could even move your car from one parking lot to another if it really needs to be, or get somebody to move it for you, or whatever it might be. I mean, who knows what it could do? It could be very physical or concrete, or have a person show up who gives you a message that you need to know. The outside, see, I'll use my phone. So that's like the inside coming out. And what happens with streams coming in, our divine self is outside of us, not just in us. So the streams of grace can come through the divine self from the outside and bring into us also, what we need. So we can again get a better sense of our own divine personality through how the world responds to us, or through awarenesses or intuitions or messages that come through us, etc. It's not that important to remember the specifics of this as to know that when the divine self activates this miracle body, like, we're literally able to join with the world as the divine self and have the world give back to us what the divine self really needs to support who we really are. So that's what we're doing. It takes longer to explain this than to do it. Okay. And it's very hard to focus on the entirety of the energy around us. So, all you have to do is either think of, kind of this auric field, or this miracle body, either in front of your heart or in back of your heart. It doesn't really matter which one, because everything happens all at once anyway. It all flashes all at once. All right. Any questions or thoughts, Krista, just on what I'm explaining?
No, I'm good.
Yeah. I mean, again, it's easier to do it than explain it. But I like to tell the brain what we're doing, because when the brain knows, it goes, okay, I'll get out of the way. I'll just let this happen. It just makes it easier. Okay, Krista, take a couple deep breaths. You are your divine self already. You're in that place of acceptance. And we're just simply going to ask your divine self with the divine, the greater divine, to simultaneously and fully activate your miracle body, bring healing streams of grace from your inner core through the miracle body into the world, so your divine self is reflected externally, and it brings streams of grace from the world through the miracle body into yourself. So you're finally able to feel truly safe and secure and respected for the self you are. And all that shape-shifting is happening simultaneously, but we acknowledge that it's going to land and be made clear and more understandable in the way, in the space, and the time that's best for us. Best for you, Krista. Yeah, I felt something land. Oh, wow. What are you sensing or feeling right now, Krista? And take your time to answer that too.
There is a lot. Right now, it is like inside, like around second chakra.
Uh-huh.
And it's kind of a combination of like a denser silver and a more wispy silver. And it looks like what are those things that the kids get the ribbons on and they run around the poles?
Yeah, the maypoles.
The maypole. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Uh-huh.
Like that. Only it's like really like big.
Uh-huh.
really big.
That's how I always see streams of grace, as the strings, that's in my head. I see them as the streams from the maypole.
Oh.
But you're the center. You're the center. So your divine self is like the streams of grace are like bringing you out there, letting you celebrate yourself. It's going to create openings for things to come to you that fit you also, because that auric field, of course, decides what comes to us or what doesn't, or what we're going to allow in, no matter what other people are doing or saying, or not let in. So to me, that's a really, kind of telling image that you're getting.
Oh, that's exciting. Yeah, and it's changing color now. And it looks like a I don't know, pinwheel. Those little tops that you push.
Yep. That spins around. Yeah, pinwheels.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Lots of orange and red and yellow.
So a lot of the lower physical and some psychological chakras and colors really opening for you. So you really get to enjoy, and they'll all open. And it tells me that you're really going to start to get to enjoy being body, having feelings, having them heard or respected, knowing what you think. So those are the current shifts would be what I would explain. And healing going on in those areas too, just plain healing.
Well, hey, if I don't have to spend the day like puking my guts out, that's a win right there.
Yeah, if you have to throw up, have it let go of a whole bunch of other stuff you're just so done with too. I hope this can just plain help even out your period too, to be honest, right? So, I mean, though, I'm so glad I'm done with my period. So let's get some balance in it for you. So I just think there's women, especially in their moon time, which it was often called in a lot of different North and South and Central American cultures, they would sometimes be told, go and gather with other women in their moon time, and you would be releasing some of the toxins for the whole community, for the whole village at that time. And that was your gift back. And maybe we don't need to have your body doing that anymore for everybody. Maybe it can, right? Just balance for you.
Yeah, I support that.
So your divine self can just be helping you, and others can model after you, but you don't have to be having your menstruation cycle being kind of processing for everybody else anymore. That's what I think has been doing.
Oh, that makes a lot of sense, because
then it makes it really hard.
Oh gosh, yeah. Like it's been getting worse. I've been getting treatments every month for 2 years, like internal holistic body work and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And the last couple of months, like it got so bad. Like I couldn't eat, and if I ate anything, I'd be throwing up like an hour later.
Wow.
Yeah, that might be TMI, guys. Sorry, but
but this is good timing for working on that too. I think it's really good timing.
Yeah, I agree. And actually, I was cramping a little bit when we got started, and physically, I don't feel that anymore.
Excellent. Good. Excellent. Thanks, Krista. How do you feel overall? Like you're still a bit in process?
My shoulders feel really good. Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, I actually feel like physical shift. And
it's physical. This stuff works physically. It's exciting.
Yeah.
Yay. That's great. Thank you, dear.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, so we're just going to do our remember it's like harder to explain than it is to let the shift happen. So for all of us, I'm just going to bring us together to enable our miracle bodies, and then we're just going to work with virtues for a few minutes. So just relax and be and enjoy. Give yourself permission. You've already activated those spiritual genetics to just enjoy your body where it already is, you're only going to feel better, know yourself better, and have more love and alignment and energizing through this next shift. So in and through your breath, acknowledging you as the divine self that you are, all the helpers being the same. And then, of course, acknowledging and reflecting on the presence of the greater spirit, the all, the divine. Ask that divine with your own divine self to activate with healing streams of grace your miracle body. You'll feel the energies emanating from inside through that body, which is all the way around you, into the environment. You'll also sense those streams of grace bringing energies in through, from the outside, through the miracle body to the internal self. And then you'll experience the flow of what's in to out, out to in. And the resulting oneness. The dance of life, the dance of receiving, giving, the dance of giving and receiving, the dance of life, of being alive, the miracle of being alive, of your divine self saying, I want this experience in this body. I'm so excited about it. You can be quiet in your expression, silent in your expression, internal in your expression. You can be more vehement and extroverted and showing in your expression. It's just you expressing into this world, which itself is a miracle. Ask for integration, ask for calm, ask to be grounded, to be centered, to just be very lovingly and lightly held in this shifting. So it's effortless, easy, simple, and there's nothing you need to do to further integrate except enjoy your life as it unfolds. And be, and open your eyes when you're ready. Wow. Don't you feel happy? I feel happy, kind of peaceful, serene, and happy and excited. I'm personally excited to see what happens in all your lives. So it'd be really fun to kind of gather, and like share a little bit about this when we do get together. Amelia, her cat was like, is this Meatball? This is Meatball, Amelia. A Meatball was like, I'm out of here. And what's funny is my dogs are, I have to leave the doors open so they can come and lay here when I'm teaching. I could hear them upstairs, like coming toward the downstairs, and they were like, no, we're just staying up. They're fine, but they're like, we have enough of it. We're already manifesting our miracle lives. Those are my dogs. They have like great lives. They have bones, they have runs, they have everything they need. They don't really need this. So if there's any questions, go ahead and chat. All I want to do next is just bring somebody else up, and I just want to teach a little bit more about the virtues, because these are tools that your divine self constantly uses unknowingly, and you can also use knowingly if you're going into a situation and you feel like you need, because you're a person still, you're a divine person, but you're a person. Like if you feel like you might need just a little bit more support, use the virtues. I access them constantly. So virtues in general are emanations from the divine. They're not streams of grace. They're like, if you describe them sort of in the aegis or in the grouping of streams of grace, they would be like a whole bunch of streams of grace put together for a particular effect or impact. And I believe they also emanate from living beings, kind of like gigantic, enormous angels who reflect them or refract them for God or for the divine. So when you bring a virtue in, you're bringing through an energy. It's not going to take you over. It's not an alien. You know, it's not like you're channeling through alien energy that's going to take you over. I don't mean it's living like that, like you're channeling dead people kind of thing. You're bringing through energies that are living reflections or living energies basically from the source or from the divine. So they interact with you in a way that's very immediate and allows you to be transparently the divine self that you are and just get the support that you need. So for instance, a lot of times when I'm going to teach, I ask for the virtue of clarity to come in through the back of my neck because I want to be clear. And the thing with teaching, and we all experience this even through talking, is you can say something that's clear to 3 people, but it doesn't mean it's clear to 10 people. So I don't worry about that anymore because I believe that with clarity coming through, the people hearing me will feel, sense, or receive whatever needs to be made clear to them. So when you're working with virtues, you're taking care of self, but you're also enabling others to be taken care of. And as Miriam is asking, to ask me to delineate the various virtues. The truth is there are hundreds of virtues. And what I would do if I were all of you is I would I just Google virtues. There's like in some websites, 220 virtues. You could also Google spiritual qualities. You could Google the names of God. Any of those types of search terms are going to give you a list of virtues. And they're all the good things: faith, truth, hope, clarity, healing, harmony, honesty, goodness, anything you can think of that is something that's positive or good. Is forgiveness is going to be a virtue. And so there's so many virtues that I can't keep them all in a list in my head. So frequently, if I know I need a virtue or I feel prompted to ask for a virtue, I'll ask spirit, I'll ask the divine or my own divine self to just pick the virtue I need and send it in how I need it. I like asking for the virtues to come in through the backside of my chakras, because the back of the chakra is governing your unconscious, your subconscious, and your spiritual connections. Your front side in general is all about your everyday life, where you're headed, what you're thinking about, your consciousness. Oh, great. Amelia's putting up one there. There's a really good list of 40 of them. You can probably remember it's missing love. You got to remember love. I hope it has healing on it too, because that's a really good one for people who do what we do. So you can always just do love too, or harmony, or whichever one strikes you as the most necessary. But I typically feel them or see them coming in through my backside chakras, because then they come out through the front side and they project that virtue into the world. So if I'm not like kind of in my personality self, always able to like show that I love somebody, they're going to feel it if it's coming from the back through the front side. Or if I'm not able to come up with the right words, people at least will know I'm trying. If I put clarity coming through, they'll at least know I'm trying to get there, if nothing else. And their own divine self will be sort of helpful in the process too. So let me demonstrate. I'd love to have somebody come up. Amelia, I'll have you pick them. Who, I mean, think of a topic though that you would like some insight about or some clarity about or some such thing, because I'm actually going to have you be your own reader. I'm going to have you let your divine self bring a virtue through a backside chakra so you can get a sense of how this might work for you. So Amelia, you can go ahead and pick.
I just unmuted Judith Brooks.
I saw Judith pop up too. Hi, Judith.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm well, thank you.
Excellent. Are you on telephone?
Yeah, I'm on my iPhone.
Okay, that's fantastic. That's great. I always just, always like hope I'm, if I don't see somebody, it's because I shouldn't be able to see them is all. So what pops into your mind if you have something that would be a situation for which you think you could benefit by a virtue?
I am personally working on communicating with plants in a deeper way as an herbalist and wanting to write a book about it.
Oh, I love that. So there's a couple different types of virtues you could use from my perspective when you're communicating with the plants. You could use, literally like some type of a communication or a translational virtue so that you're able to receive messages from them and they're able to understand that you're querying them or connecting with them. I mean, that could be a virtue like connection, communication, translation, understanding. I'm not telling you which ones you need, and you could get 48 of them. You could, any of them that are needed would be useful. And then there might be equivalent and or different ones for you to access also when you're writing. Because now you're not just communicating with the plants, you're trying to help people understand what the plants are saying. Does that make sense?
Oh, yes.
So I think you can play with a couple different sets of virtues. For instance, when I'm writing a book, I do a lot of research. And this is like a really great way that I cheat on my research. Like I bring the energy of technological clarity. So it's sort of a made up virtue, but heck, why not? Through my backside heart when I'm researching for a book. And I research like nobody else's business. I did it with a friend. We were researching for a book we were doing. And she was like, she goes, I spent 3 hours trying to research XYZ and I couldn't find anything. And I got on the phone with her and I said, well, let's just look. And I bring this sort of technological communication through me. Not that you need that one, right? But I was bringing that through me. And I said, well, here's a site, here's a site, here's a site, here's a site. And she goes, how'd you find those? And I'm sort of like, well, no, I'm not doing it. The virtue's doing it. Mm-hmm. So I'm just giving an example of how practical a virtue can be when you're working. All right. So are you, Judith, near a plant, or can you think of a plant or a tree or something?
I have a plant, night blooming cirrus cactus right in front of me, right here.
All right. That's cool. All right. So I'm just going to guide you through this. I'm not going to necessarily pick the virtue in order to communicate with the cactus. I'm going to let your divine self and the divine do it, but we may get some names for it as we work anyway. So we're all just affirming your divine self. You're already in connection with the divine self, the spiritual essence of that particular plant. And the greater spirit is interconnecting you and this plant, this being. So you can feel that bond, that connection, and know that whatever virtues, I'm actually hearing to ask for two things. You need coming to you to understand the plant or coming to and through you. And whatever virtues the plant needs to come through it to connect with you are also coming through the plant. That's a cool one. I've never done that before. Isn't that neat?
Yeah.
All right. So just what's your sense right now? What are you feeling or experiencing right now in this moment?
I've been away for a while and I've been feeling the plant happy to see me because I was away for a while and it was a bit ignored and that it would like another drink of water.
Isn't that easy to get? And you can feel it. You know it's true. That's what I love about the virtues. When you accomplish the goal, you know it's happening. There's no question about it. So of course it needs water. It
Yeah.
really, it just really wants love more than anything, probably too. It wants water, but also love. So that's gorgeous. Is there anything you feel like you want to send or share with the plant right now? I'm going to have you kind of communicate back to the plant.
Well, it bloomed about 3 weeks ago, and I can send you a picture. But I mean, this beautiful white blue. It looked like something from the divine. It was huge, and they only last for one night because it's a night blooming cirrus cactus, and it's like it gave its gift, you know. And there was 3 blooms, and each bloom was a gift. I don't know how else to put that in words.
Oh, how beautiful. And so you're thanking the plant. You're recognizing the gift that it gave you, would be how I would put it into human words.
Yeah.
Oh, that's beautiful, isn't it? And I just get this feeling of the cactus just sort of like, you know, it's sort of like when you tell, you know, kind of like a dog, good work, or, you know, a loved one, or even when somebody says to me, oh, you did so well, you know, and you're appreciated. There's just that sort of a, yeah, I did kind of a feeling. That's just what I feel from the plant.
Yeah. Like a shiver.
Yeah. Like that, like a shiver. Like we all want to be seen. We all want to be known.
Yes.
Oh, beautiful. This is going to be such fun for you to work with this, for you to speak for the different plants who need to be spoken for, but also receive something too.
I think I get confused because I don't know if it's my just mental thoughts that are coming through, if it's the plants coming through sometimes, you know, and there's confusion and wanting to be clear.
Yeah.
It's really the plant's message and not something that just came through in a mental way.
Well, it can still come through mentally, because when we're doing clairaudience or clear hearing, it doesn't mean we always hear words in our head like somebody talking outside of us. There's many ways that we get that kind of information that we can package as words, whether we're writing it or hearing it or speaking it or for it. And a lot of times, especially when we're dealing with animals or plants or natural beings, we get the information empathically, and it can come in through the 3rd chakra. That's a lot of what I think you're doing. It's cognitive empathy. So you get a sense, you get feelings, you get knowings, and then your chakra system puts them into words. So it can seem mental, but the words are packaging what you're picking up. So it might help you know that what you got is true, because I really think it is. And it feels like it, because I can sense it in my body that the plant is like happy that it's being understood. If you know how you're doing that. So I think you're using a lot of cognitive empathy, and then the words will either write themselves or you'll be able to speak them, which can feel like it's mental, but it's not brain. It's coming in as intuition, and then it's getting packaged into a cognitive form, because your job is to communicate this to other people. So you have to be able to package it. So I don't think you're making this up. Just recognize it's coming in empathically first, and then it's getting packaged. Does that help, Judith, to have a sense of that?
Yes. Yeah. So it just really just trust myself and what I receive.
That's all I'm saying. Just trust it and write it down. Yeah. Just trust it, speak it. You know, if you're somewhere you can't write, you know, speak it into your iPhone or something and record it, you know, and then write it down. And then it becomes truth. There it is. It's just there. So I love your gift. I think it's beautiful. So thank you for showing it for us.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. What's really fun is I'm going back to Amelia, saying that she has a cutting from Judith's night blooming cactus, and Amelia was hearing her cactus talking as Judith, you were connecting with your night blooming cactus. Isn't that cool? Well, they're interconnected. There's all these cool studies right now that shows plants talk to each other and they communicate with each other. And so it's all networked together. Of course they're networked together. And I just wanted to repeat what a couple of you wrote on here too. Melinda said her 16-week puppy is loving this work. And Stephanie has Misty, her dog, in here too. So it's so fun that we're enjoying the natural kingdom at the same time. Miriam asked a question, and it's a great question. So thank you, Miriam. Is it important to know which virtue is being delivered by spirit? No, it is not. It's not. I have my handful of favorites that are my old dependables, that like my old faithfuls. When I'm personally in my everyday world and I know what I need, for instance, you know, when Gabe's making a big change, he's the pitching son, and I have been told very clearly my job is to hold faith for him. Like I have to hold faith that he makes it. I have to say sometimes I don't feel it. Sometimes he's in doubt and I'm sitting there going, oh my God, how am I supposed to feel faith if I don't feel it? Like I'm going, oh, I'm supposed to boost him up and I'm in doubt. And it might just be about me, not about him at all. Then I'll ask for the virtue of faith to come in me so I can support him. So if I know what I need, I'll ask for it. And even then, I always ask Spirit and add anything else that I need, because I don't think my brain can catalog all these or look at them swiftly enough, do a search engine thing to get all the right virtues. So I don't depend on it to do that. And sometimes when I'm working, say, with a client, I'll have a virtue. I'll know it's a virtue because for me, they usually come in through the back. And it'll feel so concrete to me. I'll go, wow, that one's really cool. I'll ask what it is so I can tell the client. So then I can advise them, hey, you know what? When you're in doubt, you can ask for faith or you can ask for this. And they'll go, oh, great. Because it can be helpful for some people to have a word or a name, sort of like a handle on what it is they can then do in the future. So, I mean, honestly, I was given the job of holding faith for Gabe maybe 2 to 3 years ago. It was a very dramatic situation. And we don't have time to go into it, but I'll tell you on the weekend because it's a super cool story. And I know I was given that job so I could keep becoming a more faith-filled person. Because as just a mom or a person, I can go, well, I don't know if they can do it. Like when I first had the dream that Gabe was going to make the pros, he was not a very good pitcher. And I woke up that morning and I thought, I'm not going to bring this up because he's really not that good. And I wouldn't have said anything to him, except he came to me within a couple of days and said, Mom, I want to grow up to be a Major League Baseball pitcher. And then I had to say, well, I had this dream, so let's figure it out. So I'm very aware I am also being shown virtues to hold for others that I am in need of consistently developing. So my divine self is the self that I am on an everyday basis as well. So I can testify that you can enable yourself to be a divine self and be a very human person at the same time, right? We're just constantly closing the gap is what we're doing. So to close, I'm going to lead us through one more guided meditation. And I'm just going to have you sense or feel, or maybe get labeled for you, whatever virtues are going to be helpful for you to consistently better embrace and reflect the divine self that you are. And after that, I'm just going to close. And when we get this recording, Amelia will clean it up a little. And because we have like 15 minutes of dead time in the beginning, and she'll send that out to you when it's all ready to go. And hopefully I'll see a lot of you in January in really good weather. I don't want snow. In the beginning, I wasn't really trying to suggest that you make it snow down there for me. I would love it to be 75 and very enjoyable. So let's see if any virtues can bring that about, right? That would be fantastic, the weather virtues. So take a couple more deep breaths and feel the changes that are already transpiring within you, body, mind, and soul, that are all about the divine self that you are, who you've always been, and who you are always becoming. You are you. You are your divine. You are the divine. You're at one with the divine. You're in this dance with life and love and goodness and joy and wisdom gathering and learning and being taught and teaching. And even as you continue to integrate your divine self, your miracle body, your ninth chakra, spiritual genetics, know that being provided for you right now and in an ongoing continual manner are the virtues that would be helpful for you. You can just simply sense one or two or more as they're being lovingly and gently administered. If you have a sense of what one or two of those virtues are, you can just name it in your head, or you can ask the divine or your own divine self to name it for you. Or you can just be open for the rest of the day to have a label appear to you in whatever way it appears or is shown in and through your environment. With or without a label, these virtues are real, are present, are yours, and are given to you because you are so loved. Always loved. You are loved, you are loving, and your divine self knows only love. Breathe deeply. Thank you all for showing up on our time together. And enjoy the next few months and what all this love brings you. Thank you all. And thank you, Amelia, for organizing this and helping us to turn as the weather turns too. Thank you.